I'd like to call to order the monthly meeting for March 3rd of the Planning Board of the town of Bedford. Westborough. What did I say? Bedford? Sorry. Westborough. My name is Hazel Nurse. I'm chairman of the board. To my far left is Jenny Gingras, our town planner. We have Caroline Reagan, Christina Kelleher, John Pizzoni. To my right, John Gelsich, and Anne Marie Decker, our admin. I'm also like people to know there are listening devices available for use during the meeting. If you'd like to borrow one, they are in the table in the front by the entrance. Just make sure you return them afterwards. I'm going to jump around a little bit on the agenda tonight only because I know the weather is not really conducive to driving. The one thing I'm not going to do is the continuances, and those will not be done till the end of the meeting. So please be sure to look at your agenda, and if you're here for something that's been continued, there'll be no point in you staying. I'm going to start, though, with the continuation of the public hearing regarding proposed zoning article to amend the zoning map and change the zoning for some of the downtown area. Because we have a group of high school students here with us tonight who are going to make a short presentation about some work they did for information on that. If they'd like to come forward and make this presentation, we'd be delighted to have them.
Yep, and Hazel, I just have a couple of updates too for the board while they're coming up. So the Advisory Finance Committee did vote unanimously to support the article. The Economic Development Committee voted this morning to also support the article.
Oh, great. All right. Would the high school students please come forward?
Right into the microphone.
And if you could introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Samyukta Turali.
I'm Shreya Prabhakar.
I'm Danusha Ramadas.
I'm Shreya Anisingaraju.
I'm Dia Koti.
I'm Sahasra.
We are here on behalf of our club, Westborough Forward, to present the results of our survey. We sent out a survey to the school about downtown, and we got over 160 responses, and we're going to talk about that right now.
As Samyukta said, we sent out a survey to the students of Westborough High School, and we wanted to answer the question, what do the teens think? Once again, as she said, we got over 160 responses, and we believe that this is representative of what the students think in Westborough High School, and they will be our next generation, so we think that this is important to discuss. Our survey had several questions, but we wanted to go over 4 main ideas. What the students currently liked about downtown, how the students access downtown, how and how often students utilize downtown, and what the students wish to see in the future.
So our first question was, how often do teens go to downtown? And most of them said they go like once a month or once a week. And some of them said a few times a week or like rarely, but very few say like never. And our second question was to rate downtown in the scale of 1 to 5, 5 being like the best and 1 being the worst. And according to like Westborough High School students, we rated it out of 5, which was 3.78.
Our next question was what would make students go downtown more often, and 75.3% of students wanted more entertainment or recreational areas, while 64.8% of students wanted more gathering in community areas, and 59% of the students wanted more events and activities available in the downtown. And then another question was, what do WHS students do mainly in the downtown? And 87.3% of the students mainly go to eat, and 71.7% go to public places like the library or Cha-Cha and Beans.
So the third point that we tried to track down in our survey was, what do the students actually like about our downtown so far? So the majority of people said that they liked the fact that downtown was so close to the high school and was easy to walk to. So definitely proximity is a good factor that we have so far. And a lot of people like the local businesses that we have so far. For example, Cha-Cha and Beans and Panera. About 40% of the people said that. So that's also a good thing that we have. And also, a lot of people said that they liked the fact that downtown seemed safe. So they had a good sentiment with that, with about 15% of them. And so these are just some ideas that we had for improvements. So like how we could improve our downtown. So the one thing was that some people said that was that some places of downtown seemed abandoned or boring, despite like the fact that we do have a lot of like local businesses so far. And then there's the third space concept. So the thing is, the library, Cha-Cha, and Panera, these are really common places, but they do act as a single point of failure. So if we like add any other local businesses, that would also help our downtown. Additionally, we could enhance seasonal decorations to make the place seem more lively. And yeah, that's basically it. I wanted to add a few points. We have prepared a 5-page report, not that we're going to be sharing that right now, but if anyone would like to see that, it's about like, based on our results, the economic factors and that would, that are important to decide what should be going in downtown and what Westborough should invest in.
Have you, out of curiosity, have you put your report in any public places so that people had access to it? I mean, for example, I'm thinking it might be worthwhile to drop a few copies off at the senior center and at the library.
Yes, I agree. We have, in the report, we have expressed opinions not just of high school students, but of parents and older citizens too. So we'd be happy to share that with whoever needs it.
That would be great. And also, if you bring some to our planning office on the second floor of this building, that would be helpful. But please look and see if there are some public places you could leave copies of these around, because I really have to compliment you on the time and effort you put into this report, and it will be very useful. And I'm not sure whether there's been any coordination with the town meeting as to perhaps it would be worthwhile talking to the town moderator and seeing whether you could make this presentation at the town meeting. I know that's sort of a scary thought, but it would really, I think, inform the community of the fact that the young people in town are looking at the downtown area and how it can be improved for you as high schoolers. And you said you also had information there from parents and other people that are in there. So as the leader, if you talk to your advisor from school and also have that advisor talk to the town moderator to see whether perhaps you could make this presentation at the town meeting on the 21st.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. That was really valuable.
You have additional? Yeah.
Our next question was, what do students consider as downtown? And most people said that the Rotary Centric was primarily the landmark for downtown, and then that the top 5 were Cha-Cha and Beans, Panera, the Library, Dunkin', and Roach Bros. And most definition of downtown were limited to a 15-minute walking radius from the high school. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate what you've done. Are there any comments that board members would like to make?
I think it was great. It's really helpful to hear from you, all of you, and to hear from the rest of this, what you've gathered on behalf of the school. So thank you for bringing that here tonight.
Yeah, I thought that was great. Thank you for presenting. I just have a question for you. What is Westborough Forward? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Of course. We created Westborough Forward because we saw a lot of places in town that we feel needed a revamp, and we wanted to like have the best opportunity to work with like the best organizations in town to be able to improve our town for the next generation.
That's awesome. I really, really applaud you guys for doing all of this. That's really good.
Thank you so much.
Any other comments?
Yeah,
John?
great job on your presentation. Could you just pass your report to Jenny? Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to take a look at it.
Of course.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Then I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight. Safe home, and we'll look forward to hearing more about this at the town meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice way to start off our meeting tonight. Really appreciate having young people involved and having them giving them the opportunity to be able to come to our meeting and express themselves. That's one of the things the planning board needs more of, is to hear from not just a small group of people who attend our meeting, but other people in the community. So on with the agenda. I don't see anyone here from Post Road yet. Is that true? What?
Hazel, are you going to vote on that article tonight? The zoning article for the downtown business
Yeah,
district?
I just first wanted to see whether there's anybody
Oh,
here
okay.
from Post Road.
Okay. Yeah, I believe there are councils here.
Okay, all right. Then we'll move to you very shortly, but I'm just going to deal with we'll start with the continuation of the public hearing. The second one regarding the proposed zoning amendments under the articles concerning the downtown business district. Are there any comments or questions from the board on this? We've had more than one presentation. I don't think we need to go through it step by step, but I'd like to know whether there's anyone on the board who has any questions about this. Since this is a public hearing, I also would like to give an opportunity to anyone who is here in the audience who has any questions or comments concerning this. If not, I would have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, if I could have a motion then on the acceptance of it, the support.
For Article 31?
Yeah.
Correct. For Article 31.
I'm sorry, for Article 31, yes.
I move that the planning board, following its public hearing conducted pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A, Section 5, vote to recommend passage of Article 31, amend zoning bylaw downtown business district as set forth in the annual town meeting warrant for March 21st, 2026.
Okay. Jenny, are there any comments? You said the EDC voted to support this morning?
Yes, the Advisory Finance Committee and the EDC voted unanimously to support. The Select Board, I believe, is voting next week
Okay.
on the articles.
Any comments or questions from the board? We ready to vote?
I second the motion.
Oh, sorry. All in favor? Right. I'd just like to thank Jenny and our staff for all the work they put in on this. It's been a monumental project. It has gone on for over a year, and I think that the town will find this is of real benefit. We're trying to work, the planning board is really trying to make it easier for development in the downtown area, and also to make it have the zoning make sense is our basic thing that we're trying to do. It's been too complicated for too long. The second Public hearings is the one concerning the zoning map changing of the assessor's parcels at 35-167-0 and 35-167A, one research drive from industrial B1B zoning and industrial 1D overlay to the highway business BA zoning district. I think there's someone who'd like to make a comment on that before we close the public hearing. Is that correct? And just if you would keep your remarks short for me. Yeah.
David Ferris from Ferris Development here on behalf of the applicant with my colleague Brian Charvel, General Counsel. I just wanted to start by saying that was pretty impressive. I know I get nervous up there for those young students. It's a testament to Westborough's education system to see them. It reminds me of my children, and it's pretty cool. But we're here tonight, and I think we've already done a pretty comprehensive presentation, so I don't want to repeat. I wanted to be available to any questions that I could answer, and I wanted to thank the planning board for the engagement in the process, because we've learned a lot listening to the community and your feedback, and it's driven our decision making and thinking about this property and how to make it work for Westborough.
Thank you.
Yep.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or comments on this? Jenny?
I'll just add that the Advisory Finance Committee voted 6-1 to recommend passage of this article.
Did the Economic Development Committee take this?
No.
They did not.
Yeah, we did not take that up.
Is Select Board voting on this next week as well?
I believe so, yes.
Could I have a motion then? Are there any comments from anyone else in the audience on this project? Or not project, on this change in the zoning?
I have,
Yeah.
I have a question. Do we know why, like, the rationale for the member who voted against it was, like, within the discussion?
I did not attend the meeting, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just know the vote. But I can certainly watch back the meeting and give feedback to the board.
I was just curious. Yeah. Thank you.
Are we ready to close the public hearing? If so, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? Are we ready to vote? All in favor? Then could I have a motion, please, to support the amendment to change the zoning on Research 1?
I move that the planning board, following its public hearing conducted pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A, Section 5, vote to recommend passage of Article 33, amend zoning map 1 Research Drive, as set forth in the annual town meeting warrant for March 21st, 2026.
Second.
Any comments, questions? All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We look forward to working continually with you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hopefully less snow. Yeah. Good luck, guys.
We also have an Article 32, which is to amend the zoning bylaw, Section 8.2F, off-premises digital billboards. Are there any comments or questions from any board members on this change? Jenny, were there any votes on this?
Yep, the Advisory Finance Committee voted 5-2 to recommend the passage of the article, and the Economic Development Committee voted unanimously to recommend the article.
I just have one comment, Hazel.
Yeah.
I know we had a lot of discussion on this and whether this would fit in the town. I think while I'm glad we're bringing it forth as we are, but I think people's personal perspectives on aesthetic aside, this would pay for someone's salary, and we had to cut town. There were cuts to some of the administrative staff, so I think that's worth considering as we're thinking about the potential revenue for it.
I think that's a good point. I struggle with this too because, don't like billboards, but
Same.
There's a place for everything, right? And it's $4.95 and it's not downtown, so
Yeah.
it's tough. It's a tough one to, I don't know how I'm going to vote at town meeting, but tough. But Chris's point is, I think, well received. I think that makes sense.
All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the public who wishes to comment on this? If not, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor? Are we ready to vote then on the motion to support the article?
I move that the planning board, following its public hearing conducted pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A, Section 5, vote to recommend passage of Article 32, amend Section 8.2F off-premises signs as set forth in the annual town meeting warrant for March 21st, 2026.
Second.
All in favor? And I'm opposed. So it's a 4-to-1 vote. All right, we'll move forward. I see there are people from the Post Road Development here, so we will move forward to that immediately. All right, I'm going to ask Jenny to start off this because there was a letter from, which we received yesterday, I believe, today, on some possible request for changes from the engineering department. I know that Jenny then talked to the applicant about this, but she's going to run through this for the rest of the board. I know she sent a communication out to the board late this afternoon concerning this, so we'll start off with that. Jenny, I'm going to turn that over to you for the moment.
Yep, so I did make a few revisions to the decisions which were outlined in the drafts that I sent to you all. So I'm happy to go through them, just the ones that were revised, if you want to take a look at those.
Yeah, just the ones that were revised. I think we did go through all the sections of the decision, the findings, et cetera, at our last meeting, and I don't think we need to go through them line by line again tonight.
Okay, great. Do you want me to pull up each decision individually then?
Yeah, I do on this one, just because these were new. I don't think the public may not have seen some of them, and I want to make sure that when we vote on this decision, we're all clear in what we're voting on.
Okay, and do you want to start with the north parcel then? So I'll start with the north parcel special permit decision. As the board knows, we did separate out the decisions to include the special permit separate from the site plan review for the draft decisions, and so the board would need to vote separately on those. I also separated out, per the board's request, the findings and the waivers from the vote on the decision, so you'll see that there. These were definitely pretty extensive decisions to write, but I think that working with our other town departments and staff, and then corresponding with the applicant, I think we have a good decision put together. So there were just a couple of clarifications within the document, and we made sure to capture any updated documents that were submitted. Just going through, this is the north parcel special permit. One change that was made, I know that the applicant has been in correspondence with the applicant in regards to a payment agreement. There was a date held for that, but in correspondence with the engineering department, we decided to reference that they will enter into a payment agreement prior to the issuance of a water and sewer permit. So that language is reflected there. It was also suggested that in regard to shop drawings that are typically, the engineering department would ask that available shop drawings of materials be submitted. We felt like that was more appropriate to be within the sewer and water connection permit as a condition, and within the building permit. So during the building permit phase, they're required to submit certain documents, so that could be documented there. And talking with the applicant's counsel, that requirement within a planning board decision may be inappropriate in Mass General Law 40A, because it's really something that belongs at the building permit and not within zoning. One question I had for the board is discussion with the hours of construction. I know we've had recently some conversations about that, and in previous decisions, we had put a condition that Sundays and holidays shall be days of no operation, which is according to our town bylaw. So I just highlighted that to see if there was any change that you wanted to make there, looking at what has happened with previous or recent projects, really, and requests to work outside those hours.
On that particular section, not read it, wait a minute.
So it says the hours of,
Okay, for the Director of Planning. There's just been too many problems with working on Sunday on projects which are close to residential areas. And I felt very strongly that we needed more oversee on that than we've had before. And so instead of getting permission from the police department, which is the way it usually has been, I would prefer and suggested that we put it as the Director of Planning, because the police department doesn't always know exactly about how things are going on with various projects. The planning department does. And so that was the reason for that particular change.
any comments on that change before I move on, or? In regard to the stormwater and drainage infrastructure, this was just a clarification for the amount of this surety bond required for the stormwater management. One of the items that we've discussed was the traffic mitigation and how that was going to be handled within the decision. So as the board knows, the applicant has offered, as part of the traffic mitigation, to fund and initiate a feasibility study, which would study the area from the intersection of Park and Milk Street to the intersection of Milk Street and Oak Street. And then I know the board had some comments in regard to what happens if we don't get the grant, things like that. But I added in here language that basically says that we own the feasibility study once it's complete, the concept plans, and that the planning board will be involved throughout the process. The planning board will be given the opportunity to make comments during the feasibility study, and then have those comments, if they're reasonable, implemented into the final study.
Is there any board member that has a comment on that particular change? John?
And that was it for the special permit. And then I'll just point out that the conditions that are in the decisions are the same for each one. The only things that are different are the waiver findings, and the waivers and the findings because of the north and south parcels.
Does the board have any comments on these changes? Okay, if not, this is a public hearing still. Does anybody, I'm sorry, I'd like to ask the applicant whether they have any comments. I know that Jenny went over the changes with them.
No comments.
Okay.
I have one comment, Hazel. Sure. So we had talked about including like accessibility. I don't see it in the decision. I don't know if it was changed. Or I guess I don't know where that landed.
Oh, the accessible units?
Yes.
Do you want the applicant to respond to how that's incorporated
Sure,
into the plan?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what was the question?
So we had talked about, I know there will be like ADA compliant, but then we had also talked about a percentage being wheelchair accessible. And I just didn't see it in the decision. I didn't know where we were gonna kind of capture that language.
I believe from the last hearing, what we discussed was that is a code requirement. So whether or not that lives in a planning decision, I suppose is up to you. I don't know if that would be
Well, I guess,
proper or not. But
yes, code compliant for the ADA,
Yeah.
but the wheelchair accessibility on a percentage of the units would be separate.
yeah, that is something that I think we submitted to the record. I don't know the exact percentages right now, but when Seelan mentioned it, there is the type A and the type B units that are included in our project.
Yes.
What we committed to when Seelan spoke last hearing is what we are committing to. And if
Okay.
you decide that you want to put that in the decision, I don't know how you feel about that, but that is something that I think we have to do. I know that unequivocally.
Okay.
The
I don't- we
type
can-
B units are the ones that are more accessible. I think that's what
Yes.
we had the discussion
that's
on
what-
last
right.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, so are you looking for a specific number of the units or percentage to be wheelchair accessible of the?
Whatever the number was last time, we did talk about a number. I don't have a specific number. I just think it's important as we're building new developments to make sure that there is a percentage that's wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, I know there's a requirement in the building code for a specific number to be that. Fred Leonardo's here. I don't know if if he knows that number off the top of his head.
Because like separate from the ADA. Because are there, I don't know, like with the counter height and things like that, which is separate from the like door widths, yeah.
But I believe there's certain federal and state requirements on this, aren't there, Fred?
Fred Leonardo, Community Development Director. So the short answer is the building code is dictated under the Architectural Access Board, and there's specific requirements for door sizes, counter heights, the number of units that have to be accessible. And in fact, many of today's units actually meet most of those requirements, if not intentionally, the way they're built. But yes, there are specific requirements under the code that they have to be built to.
So just to clarify, I know what you're speaking to in regards to like ADA, but I would think that wheelchair accessible would be different just because it would be lower than like light switches, countertops, different kind of shower, bathroom situations. So I think it is different, and I just want to make sure we're capturing both, right?
It should be captured as part of the architectural review. Is that part of the building code requires so many units to be accessible, quote unquote accessible. That would dictate the counter heights, the exact access from the doors.
Okay.
I don't know if they've gotten to that planning stage yet.
Yeah.
I assume that you've done these in your other developments.
Well, I guess it's my understanding that the ADA is required, but the wheelchair isn't.
Well,
That
there's
doesn't
not
make
really a
sense.
distinction
I'm
there.
sorry.
Well, it does. So like the ADA requirement is things like door widths and other kind of mobility throughout the unit, but it's a different compliance level to be wheelchair accessible.
I'm just surprised you brought this up in the sense that we've not had this come in other reviews that we've done with various projects, so that I would have thought this is covered with ADA requirements and through the building code.
Yeah, it should be done as part of the building permit process, in my opinion. The planning board couldn't make a more restringent requirement than the building code anyway. You can't do that through zoning. You'd have to go through the state. There's a whole protocol you'd have to go through. But when you look at the access, it talks about bathrooms, it talks about counter heights. It does go into some of the details of the things you're speaking of. I don't know if the applicant can speak to how they've addressed that previously in other developments, but
Yeah, Christina, I think we discussed this last meeting. I'm just waiting for a clarification on what % are type A and what % are type B.
Okay, thank
I
you.
will let you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Are there any other questions? All right. Are there any questions of the applicant? Yeah, I know you've reviewed the changes. Did you have any comments on them?
We don't. We looked at the most recent version that Jenny circulated this afternoon, and we're comfortable with the conditions as drafted.
Okay, thank you. This is still a public hearing open. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to comment on this application? Yes, sir. If you could give your name and put, yeah, and keep your remarks to 2 minutes or under.
Kevin Barry, 8 Indian Pond Road. With all due respect, the 2 minutes, I will keep it as close to that as possible. I do have a couple of things, but I'm pretty much the only one here to speak up, so I'm not going to take a lot of time. You also had a non-agenda item with the presentation before, so if I could be allowed a little bit of leeway, I would appreciate it. Thank you. I get 3 minutes for open forum, so 2 minutes is not a lot of time. Just,
All right.
okay, please?
All right.
First, I just want to comment, I have the utmost respect for Post Road Residential. Through my digging, my research, seemed like a very professional organization through the family, ownership, background, everything they've done. So my comments are not against them, it's more about the project in general and its impact to our community. First and foremost was, my concern is the waivers. Why are we making 5 waivers for the developer's financial feasibility? These parcels, these properties, why aren't they being developed to what the codes are and what is allowable with those parcels, number one. I also wanted to piggyback on a memo that the town engineer had put on January 29th and piggyback on some of these things. The first one is that the submitted plans obviously are of 2 new housing developments situated at the northeast and southeast corners of Route 9 and Milk Street, proposing a total of 566 bedrooms. If the project is approved as submitted, it will utilize approximately 40% of the available multifamily sewer allocations. The second, more important, is a traffic study was performed and submitted by the applicant. However, peer review of the report was not required. DPW continues to have concerns regarding the increase of traffic and the adequacy of the infrastructure to safely handle it. So what those 2 points are, excuse me, the impact of town infrastructure, police, fire, water and sewer. We've got 2 projects now on the board that are probably going to take up, this will take up 40%. The next one, the other one at One Research Drive will take up another 30, 40%. That's 80% of what's allocated so far. But my biggest point is, why wasn't a peer review required when you did it for 210 Turnpike Road, which is on Route 9 as well? Basically, those 2 parcels, if completed, they will be isolated. Meaning, if someone wanted from those parcels, those properties wanted to go to downtown, they'd have to go, the north side would have to go all the way to Oak Street, then back to either Route 9 at Lyman Street, or one of the side roads, and then go back to 135 to go downtown. They have no access to go back, make a left, and go downtown. Same thing with the south side. It would have to go out onto Route 9, down Park Street, to go back to Lyman Street to go to downtown. So they're isolated. So that'll be from when if they are obviously finished. With that said is, a lot of the funding is relying upon MassDOT. So we have 2 new projects, basically, that both of them were started in 2023, that were relying upon MassDOT funds. So the first one is Fisher Street. That's taking 6 years to finish before it starts. I'm sorry. The East Main Street won't start until 2030. So if these projects are done, it's already been identified there's a traffic issue of concerns there. It'll take 5 or 6 years, maybe, if we're lucky, if we're granting funding from MassDOT, for anything to be done at that cloverleaf of Route 9 Milk Street. So those 2 buildings, traffic impact for the town will take place for 5 or 6 years before anything gets done. So I think, in essence, the impact to infrastructure, the impact for traffic, should be a concern and kind of in your thoughts when you're making decisions.
I'll give you one more minute.
I'm finished on that. I appreciate your time. Thank you for the leeway, but those are the 2 major concerns I think you should really think about. You all live in this town. You know that intersection. It's going to be a major issue. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the public who'd like to comment on this project? Are there any further comments from the board? I think these are things that we have looked at before. I think you're raising questions which we have considered. We've had a number of public hearings on this. I'm not quite sure how to answer. I'm not going to go back and, personally, I'm not going to go back and answer each of these questions because I do feel that they have been covered. Is there anyone else on the board who'd like to make a comment? Are we ready to close the public hearing? Do I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor? Public hearing is closed.
And just to be clear, are you closing the public hearing on the north and the south parcel? I know you opened them together. I just want to make that clear for the record. You're
Right.
closing the public hearing for the north and south.
That is correct. Is there any further discussion by the board on this project?
I think we're just waiting to hear back from Tom. Have you heard from?
They're typing right now. So.
Okay, yeah.
The type A percentage and the type B percentage.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is that acceptable?
Me, I personally, I don't think it's needed in the decision at all,
Christina?
but
But I don't, yeah, it's not I am fairly positive that the wheelchair component isn't required. And we lowered the affordability component. I want to make sure we're not potentially negatively impacting other marginalized groups, right? Like how are we I know that there are many multi-year long waits for people in wheelchairs to get apartments because they're not built for them. So I think out of the hundreds that are going into this, that it makes sense to have a percentage be wheelchair accessible. So since by law, they don't have to be wheelchair accessible, just ADA compliant.
All right, so what is your suggestion that we do? I mean, are we going to put this off then until we find out the percentage? Is that what you're asking us for to do?
Not necessarily. I think even if we can just on the record state that a percentage will be actually with the B with wheelchair accessibility, that's fine. I really want to make sure that we're including it. So if you can agree to it on the record, I think that's fine.
What percentage are you talking about? I mean, you can't just blanketly say.
Well, I guess I had
percentage,
asked.
You have to come up with some language.
Sure.
You can't sit here while you think about it.
No, that's fair. I had whatever the percentage was that was offered last time. Like I don't want to make them add more. They said that they had some in the plan. I'm just asking for confirmation on what their plan is to do that. So we don't need to wait. We don't need to add in a percentage into the decision. I'm going to take them at their word. We talked about it last time. I was just asking for a review of the number. That's fine.
And you were comfortable in voting on
I am comfortable.
acceptance of the motions to pass the site plan and?
That is correct.
All right.
That is correct.
Okay.
And we can review this. I can review it with the building commissioner to look at what the Architectural Access Board requires. I do know that there are requirements, for example, the number of handicap spaces, including van accessible spaces. So there's that, but that evaluation is usually done at the level of the architect, and I would just want to be cautious about it just because we can't require more than the building code requires under the zoning. But I agree with you, and I think we can talk to the building commissioner to make sure that that's part of it.
Great.
All right.
So can I just clarify? Because I'm
Yep.
kind of on the
Please
outside
do,
of this one. Chris, are you just looking for acknowledgement of provision of these units?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I will say that I believe what was stated on the record last time was that all units are required to be and meet the minimum level of type B accessibility. And then depending on the state code, it's anywhere from 2 to 10%. That's the deeper level of affordability,
Right.
or excuse me, of
Accessibility.
accessibility.
Yeah,
Yeah, so all units are accessible,
right.
and there is a certain percentage that will be even more accessible.
Okay, that's fine. Yep, thanks.
Okay.
So would you like to go through the waivers
Yeah.
at this point?
Yep.
Okay, so we're still in the north parcel, the special permit, the waiver request to allow 5 stories instead of the 4 stories.
Are we going through these waivers individually and then discussing them individually, or are we
can
just
we-
mentioning them?
Or can we
That's
just-
what you mentioned at the last meeting, so.
Right.
I mean,
But are we
unless-
like, all right, I'll just,
I think we can just.
I think we need to go through them individually. I just didn't know
right.
if we were voting on each one individually or voting
I
on them
think
as a
we go
slate, discussing each individually.
Let's discuss what they are, and then if the board has no comments or questions about them, then we can vote on them as a block.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the first one was the building height. Next.
The 32.8% open space instead of the 60%. And in there was the justification that they met the point allocation as allowed under the bylaw. The third one is to allow a parking ratio of 1.4 spaces per unit instead of the required 2. And then the fourth one was to allow access from Route 9. And the fifth one was to allow the affordability requirement, the modification to the affordability requirement.
And just to be clear, these are the 5 waiver requests for 171 Milk Street for the north parcel.
Yes.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from the board on those waivers? If not, could I have a motion on the waivers?
I move that the planning board grant the waiver requests as stated.
Second.
Any comments? Are we ready to vote? All in favor? Okay. Next are the findings. I think we have seen these. Is there anyone who'd like to go through them individually? If not, could I have a motion on the findings?
I move that the planning board make the findings as stated in the decision.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor? That's passed with a 5-0. And finally, the decision.
And so the decision here, I did incorporate language which does say, of course, the subject to the following conditions, but which also incorporate the waivers as approved by the board. And do you want me to go through the conditions, or?
I don't think we need to unless
Okay.
members of the board need to go through them again.
Yeah, we already did those right last time. Yeah, I'm good.
All right, if everyone's clear on them, could I have a motion?
Pursuant to Section 6.2 of the Westborough zoning bylaw and MGL Chapter 40A, I move that the planning board grant a special permit for multifamily development for Post Road Residential North Parcel located at 171 Milk Street, 221 Turnpike Road, and 223 Turnpike Road as set forth in the draft decision dated March 3rd, 2026, subject to the conditions contained therein.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments from the board?
Oh,
We ready to,
Lisa?
oh,
Are these comments
Hi.
on
Oh,
the decision or on the site
what
plan?
are these
We're in the middle of the
comments on?
decision
We're in
here.
the middle of.
So
voting.
that's a question I was going to ask. Are you voting on to accept the decision as it's written now?
The special permit.
For the special permit, yes.
So my only comment is that DPW and engineering have not seen the revised decision since this memo has gone out. And we acknowledge it was later than normal, but we do have those questions under the traffic mitigation that has not been answered.
Well, we did have some discussion here at the board earlier, if you had raised them. I mean, Jenny, we talked about the changes that were made.
And we did incorporate a lot of your comments that you made in this last round of comments, but I mean,
Then
this is a
that-
planning board decision.
So just for clarification, those comments are pertaining to the special permit or to the site plan?
It's both.
Site plan is for the use. What would you have for the use? Or sorry, the special permit is for the use.
I'm not sure what you mean by the use. It was just in the decision under the traffic mitigation section, we had questioned to the scope on 2 items. It was our understanding of something different. I'm assuming it was not changed from what I had reviewed.
We did add additional clarification to it, and I would just say the hearing's closed, so we're not supposed to be accepting, new information. But the condition is that they would do a feasibility study, including the 10% concept plan, which had been the understanding throughout this process with the applicant. And the jurisdiction or the area of the review would be from the Park Street, Milk Street intersection to the Oak Street, Milk Street intersection.
Okay, it's my understanding through the DPW director that that was not his understanding for the scope for the study. And then there was a paragraph taken out that we don't agree with it being taken out. So
I'm not quite sure what to say because this should have been brought up earlier. I mean, the thing is, we were discussing this earlier before we just closed the public hearing, and
we're
now
not objecting
suddenly
to
bring
it
this
closing the
up-
public hearing. I didn't understand the process, I guess, exactly on, but
because we did go through this line by line, including what the questions were and the changes that were made, and so suddenly now,
no, not all the questions that I brought up in my memo were not brought up, but I was giving everyone the opportunity.
Right, but Lee, the problem is we closed the public hearing, so we would have to reopen the public hearing to discuss all of this. And what Hazel, I think, is saying is that we asked for comment, we asked for this type of feedback while the public hearing was still open, and we didn't get it. So now we're kind of stuck in a position where you're coming in as we're about to vote on the special permit, saying, well, no, we still have these problems, even though the hearing has been closed.
And
So like, we're kind of stuck in a hard place here with this.
they did receive your comments, Lisa, but we don't incorporate every single thing, the comments, and they did review them. I did make a lot of the changes that were reflective of your comments.
Okay.
all right, thank you. Did you have a comment, John?
No, I'm good to vote.
All right,
We have a motion in a second.
okay. Are we ready to vote then? All in favor? Thank you. I think we've made an effort to try to include comments from various departments. I think one of the problems we've had is that we seem to get comments quite late, and it's very difficult for us and the planning department. All right, let's continue. The second thing is the site plan review for the north parcel.
Yeah.
And
And I'll
we
just
have-
add that just so the planning board understands, and I think I said this before, that a lot of the comments are captured. It's just that they're captured at the building permit stage, not at this stage, where they're more appropriate at the building permit stage. So I just want to make that clear, that it's not that the comments aren't being considered, it's that they're captured at the building permit stage, because that's where they're more appropriate.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, so now we're on to the site plan review for the north parcel.
We had one waiver request for the site plan review for the north parcel, which was,
That was for the requirement and the design standards for the sidewalks, and the board had discussed that in lieu of that, the applicant would be committed to funding the corridor feasibility study, which would evaluate the pedestrian, bike, and conditions along the corridor. including that sidewalk connection. And then also part of that study would be to do 10% concept plans, which we could then use towards a MassWorks, Housing Works grant, or a similar infrastructure grant.
Are there any comments on the waiver?
And just for clarification again, the area of the corridor, the
Study.
sorry? The study? Yeah, the boundaries of the corridor are where?
From Park Street and Milk Street to Oak Street and Milk Street, including the Cloverleaf.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no comments, could I have a motion on the waiver?
I move that the planning board grant the waiver request as stated.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor? 5-1. On the findings.
5-0.
What?
5-0.
5-0, I'm sorry. On the findings, we've been through them. I don't think there've been any changes to them. So if there are any comments or questions from the board on them? And I would just like to amend the comments I made earlier about comments from departments. I think we worked very hard as a planning board to include comments from various departments which we have in this community. And if sometimes it's not appropriate for them to come into planning, but are more appropriate, as Jenny said, for the building department, for architectural review. They may not all be, and we don't, on our permits specifically, put all the details for site plans and things that are to be done for site plan review. And so I think people need to realize that it isn't the roadmap for any of our projects include the building department, DPW, all the departments we have to work together on this. Hope I was not being critical of the receipt of the comments that we get from the various departments, because we work very hard to include them depending on which department we're dealing with on the particular projects. We're on the findings. I'm sorry, I lost my track.
I move that the planning board make the findings as stated in the decision.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? 5-0. The decision. I think we've all seen the decision. We've looked at it. We've looked at the revisions on it. Are there any comments or questions or changes to the decision for the site plan review for the north parcel? If not, could I have a motion?
Pursuant to sections 3.1 and 3.5 of the Westborough zoning bylaw, I move that the planning board vote to approve the full site plan review for Post Road Residential North Parcel located at 171 Milk Street, 33-46-0, 221 Turnpike Road, 26-40-0, and 223 Turnpike Road, 26-41-0, as set forth in a draft decision dated March 3rd, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments from the board members? If not, are we ready to vote? All in favor? It's 5-0. All right, that's north parcel. We'll now move on to the south parcel. Waiver requests, of which there are 4.
Okay, so for the south parcel, the waiver requests are similar to allow 5 stories instead of the 4. The reduction to the open space requirement, the parking ratio of 1.4 spaces instead of 2, and then the modification to the affordability requirement.
Are there any comments or questions from the board on these? If not, could I have a motion?
I move that the planning board grant the waiver requests as stated.
Second.
Any changes from the board? If not, are we ready to vote? All in favor? Oops. 5-0. Findings. We've been through the findings on the south parcels, we did on the north parcel, and I think we're ready to make a decision on it. Are there any changes on the findings as they were presented to us?
No.
Do I have a motion?
I move that the planning board make the findings as stated in the decision.
Second.
Any comments, changes? We ready to vote? All in favor? Decision.
All right. Pursuant to Section 6.2 of the Westborough zoning bylaw and MGL Chapter 48, I move that the planning board grant a special permit for multifamily development for Post Road Residential South Parcel located at 222 Turnpike Road as set forth in the draft decision dated March 3rd, 2026, subject to the conditions contained therein.
Second.
Any comments or changes in the decision? We ready to vote? All in favor? 5-0. Site plan review. There were 5 waiver requests.
That might have been a typo if I had that on this single sheet. It's actually one waiver request. It's the same as the north parcel. So it's just the waiver request for the sidewalk, which is in the general design standards, the same reasoning because of the feasibility study and 10% design plans.
Is there a motion?
I move that the planning board grant the waiver request as stated.
Second.
Any comments, changes? We ready to vote?
Yep.
All in favor voting on the waiver request? 5-0. Findings. I think, as I've said in the previous site plan review, we have seen these findings, and I think that we're ready to move forward. Are there any changes on the findings? Do I have a motion?
I move that the planning board make the findings as stated in the decision.
Second.
We ready to vote? All in favor? 5-0. And the decision, we've also had that reviewed before us, and if there are any changes or comments to the decision by any board members at this time?
Any changes to the conditions, Jenny?
No, it would be the same as the other ones.
Could I have a motion?
Pursuant to Sections 3.1 and 3.5 of the Westborough zoning bylaw, I move that the planning board approve the full site plan review for Post Road Residential South Parcel located at 222 Turnpike Road as set forth in the draft decision dated March 3rd, 2026, subject to conditions contained therein.
Second.
Are we ready to vote? All right, all in favor? 5-0. All right, we've now approved this. Thank you very much for the time and effort you put in on this, and we look forward to working with you on this project in our community.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you.
Quick
just like to
question
say-
before
oh,
the applicant goes. Do
right.
you have an anticipated starting date for construction?
We now have to go through the state permitting process. Depending on how that goes, probably it's a 26 start. Rent control in Massachusetts plays a big role, however, in that, whether 26 or 27, that's another wrench in the economic feasibility of all these projects. But we're hoping and pretty certain it's going to be a 26 start, whether it's late summer or late fall. You know, we will collaborate with you guys and give you proper heads up when we're tighter on that schedule.
Great. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to say, I think we as a planning board have considered the questions which the public have raised on this, the questions that were raised tonight, are things all of which we have considered in making our decision on this particular project.
Very much.
Thank you. All right, we have 3, 4, are 5 continuance requests for this evening. We'll need to take them one by one, or 4, I'm sorry. We'll run through them quickly, and then we will continue on with our agenda. The first one is for a continuation for 44 to 46 Libby Lane ridings, a request for a minor modification open space subdivision special permit. They've asked for a continuation to March 17th, 2026. I assume, Jenny, it's because we don't have the information in that we need on this, which were some plans so that we could have a better idea on why this was being asked for.
Correct. I don't have the revised plans. They had expressed that they would get them to us last week, but I think they were postponed a little bit because of the storms. So.
Okay. Could I have a motion then?
I move the planning board continue the hearing for 44 and 46 Libby Lane ridings to subdivision to March 17th, 2026.
Second.
Any questions from board members? All in favor? Continuation is granted. Continuation for the applicant at 50 Flanders Road. Now, this is a project that we have said, I think essentially, that we're not going to grant more continuations on. I mean, this has been going on for at least 3 years. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is it has been going on for 3 years as a whole, but that was a preliminary subdivision application at that point. It expired after the board approved it. They waited too long to apply for the definitive. They do have the option under our regulations to just go straight for a definitive, which is what they did here. At this point, they have updated the plans. They did submit the revised plans, so they're with staff right now and the peer reviewer to take a look at those. So we do have the revised plans, but we haven't finished our review as staff or the peer reviewer.
All right, could I have a motion to continue this matter?
I move that the planning board continue the hearing for 50 Flanders Road to the meeting of March 17th, 2026.
Second.
All right, I think we need to make clear to them that we're not going to continue this matter beyond the 17th unless we need to discuss it fully by that time.
I will communicate that.
All right. Are there any other questions from board members? If not, are we ready to vote on the continuance? All right. All in favor? All right, 5-0 to continue this till the 17th. Then we have a request for continuance on 5 Technology Drive by applicant Justin Leclerc.
Yeah, so this one, the board had the hearing last time on this, but we did have that peer reviewed and the comments have been received, so they're just working on revised plans and responding to the comments from the peer reviewer on that one.
Any other comments? All right, could I have a motion?
I move the planning board continue the hearing for 5 Technology Drive to the March 17th, 2026 meeting.
Second.
We ready to vote? All in favor? That's continued to March 17th. We also have a request from Justin Leclerc for a continuation of the matter on Oak Street for site plan review.
This is similar to the 5 Technology, but in addition, they are working on a traffic study as part of that per the request of the board.
Are we ready to vote? Oh, we need a motion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I just want to say more than Oak Street.
I was going to say.
I move the planning board continue the hearing for the Oak Street Westborough Tennis and Swim Project site plan review to March 17th, 2026.
Second.
Any questions or comments from board members? You ready to vote? All in favor? 5-0 to continue this matter to March 17th. All right, we'll move on to 66 Otis Street. I know that there was going to be, the town The town was going to get in touch with Cold Harbor to discuss with them further the easement along the front of this property, which we as a town have been unable to obtain from Cold Harbor, though it was a condition of their site plan. We are hoping not to have to file any papers against Cold Harbor for the failure to move forward with this. And Jenny, do we have an update?
Yes, the town manager was able to communicate with the property owner today, and he is verbally agreeable to the easement after we had clarified some things about its location. He's on vacation, so he wasn't able to make it to the meeting tonight. So I'll follow up with him on Monday when he returns.
Can we table this item to the next meeting, put it on the agenda for the next meeting so it doesn't fall off?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Because this is part of the Otis Street project, which we've been working on, and I think it's very important that we keep tabs on this and make sure that we get this easement so that we can move forward as we're supposed to. All right, we have a request from Peter Dunback to give us a short presentation on the Article 27 for the Specialized Energy Code. I would ask Peter that you keep this to no more than 2 minutes. Oh, I gave him what?
10.
We have discussed 10 previously.
Oh, I thought it was 5, all right. Peter, if you could just keep this as short as possible, I'd appreciate it.
I am Pete Denbeck. I'm part of Sustainable Westborough. I'm no longer the chair, but I'm a member of the committee. The chair has been detained on travel. I'm here to present that Article 30 now at town meeting. We're planning to propose that Westborough change its bylaws to incorporate the Specialized Energy Code. As you may know, the current energy code is the Stretch Energy Code, which we've been under since 2019. Our proposal is to change to the Specialized Code on January 1st of 2027. Important to note that this change applies only to new buildings, and the Specialized Energy Code is designed to encourage electrification of buildings as well as energy efficiency. And it's a requirement for the Climate Leaders designation, which is the new Green Communities program. And so the first question is, how will this impact the vast majority of residents and businesses? And it will improve the environment for everybody, but there'll be very little direct financial impact. There's potential for tax savings and utility bill savings over time, but the majority of people are not impacted because they're not building new construction. So again, what is the Specialized Energy Code and what's included? It does state it's new building, but it begs the question, what is left out? And additions, alterations, and changes of use are all defined terms in the code, and it states explicitly that no additional requirements come with the Specialized Code for any of the changes mentioned above. So how does this change new construction, and what is changed? So for most buildings being built today, this will not be a big change. This will not be a change at all, because the commercial building has shifted heavily toward all-electric construction, as well as residential has moved to all-electric construction. And for those buildings in the class of single-family homes, office buildings, municipal buildings, retail, and so forth, there are no changes. It's the same thermal code, and there's no additional requirements. In the center category, you see that if you're not using all-electric, if you're using fossil fuels, there is additional requirements for some amount of solar and pre-wiring, which changes by building type. But today, that's less than 10% of the commercial buildings being built over the last year. And the last category is multifamily homes. That's the only building type that's not mentioned in the first column. And multifamily buildings would then be required to build to the Passive House Efficiency Standard. This has also seen a tremendous uptick, and we have data from DOER that in 2025, over 80% of new multifamily housing units in mass save communities are built to the Passive House Standard. So it's a growing trend, and the percent is going up year over year. So the majority of buildings, there'll be no change, but it is a pressure on the development system to build more efficient buildings and to reduce the amount of fossil fuels used on site. The specialized energy code has been adopted in all of these communities, including 3 benchmark communities. These represent 32% of the state's population, and an additional 8 communities are expected to vote on the specialized code at Springtown meeting. As mentioned earlier, this is designed to help us attain the climate leader community status, and the question is, what can we do with the grant monies that come through climate leaders? The primary goal of these grants is to decarbonize municipal buildings and to install solar on municipal property. Looking at the capital plan of the town, there's several HVAC systems or water heating system replacements within the next few years. And the potential candidates include primarily schools. Armstrong, Mill Pond, and Gibbons School all are included in the plan. And in the elimination of up to $1 million on each of those projects is tax favorable. It reduces the tax levy because we're using somebody else's money to improve our buildings. We have gone to other communities that have already adopted the specialized energy code and gotten various comments, including comments from Hopkinton, who strongly supports the specialized energy code and has commented that she's seen experienced clear benefits from it, and that the implementation has been manageable and effective. Mark Sandine was instrumental in getting it approved in Lexington, and there was a lot of pushback that it would shut down housing and there wouldn't be permits and it wouldn't be cost effective. But clearly that wasn't the case because they in fact saw a surge of new affordable housing being developed in Lexington. And a similar comments from Jillian Wilson-Martin that she's seen no change in new construction after the specialized code became effective. But they are seeing more builders going all electric, and that the Passive House Standard is a change, and it requires some differences, but it's not significantly different than hers, and it's much easier than ASHRAE and TEDI and some of the other standards that are in the new stretch code. So again, this is a change from stretch code, which was adopted or changed in 2023, to this new specialized code. It unlocks new grant money, it reduces greenhouse gas emissions, and it creates a better internal environment for residents of these buildings. The air quality is managed more carefully. It's a quieter. I mean, the Post Road development on Route 9 would be significantly more quiet with the thicker windows that come with Passive House. And of course, lower utility bills because the buildings are more efficient. So with better quality buildings is the bottom line, and it's no impact on existing buildings and no imposition on existing building owners. So I'd be happy to take questions.
John, and to put you on the spot a little bit in the fact that Hopkinton has adopted this, have you seen any effects in the community on, particularly on new builders coming in? My concern basically is the fact that whether this is going to discourage new building in the community because of further costs.
I mean, Hopkinton's a tough case because it's expensive to build there anyway.
Right.
So not a ton of development goes in there, but we recently had a multifamily development approved right in the downtown, and they're building 60 some odd units there. I haven't seen any huge change, but I'm not particularly looking for that, so I might not have noticed anything. I haven't noticed any builders coming in screaming at the building inspectors about it, so I guess that's a good sign. But yeah.
I'd also add, in Hopkinton, your new school is going to be built to the Passive House standard.
Charleswood, yeah.
So they're voluntarily doing that. It's not a requirement of the code, but they're choosing to design to that method.
What would be the cost difference? Do you have any idea?
I wouldn't have those numbers, yeah.
Yeah.
For the school or for?
Yeah, for the school. Yeah, just curious.
Yeah, I'd have to talk to the school committee.
Yeah.
They have a whole separate committee that's doing all the financials for that we're not involved in, so I'd have to talk to them.
Yeah.
The analysis by DOER was really focused on multifamily housing, and it was estimated to be about 1% to 4% more expensive. And it seems to be quite evident that experience matters, and the more you've worked with the Passive House standard, you actually begin to prefer it because it makes it a more predictable project, because it's more rigorous, and you get these professional inspectors, Passive House certifiers to come and inspect the building. So first time through, it's a learning process, but people get good at it and they like it. It's the feedback I've heard.
So just so I understand, there's Massachusetts building code. Then there's, if a community wants to go above and beyond, they do a stretch code. And then they want to do, what's this called?
It's the municipal opt-in specialized code.
So another one above that?
And then there's one beyond that too.
There's one, yeah, that's ridiculous in my mind. I appreciate it.
I totally agree it's ridiculous. I'd like to see us get to one code. It's got to be confusing for builders as you go across town lines and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's not something, I actually submitted that in public hearings, but they didn't listen.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great presentation. I think it would mean more to me if we saw some case studies and costs associated and what some savings could be, what it would look like instead of just potential, right? So maybe have other communities, they can opt in and we can see how it goes for them. And
so we've done that, and we waited 3 years. The code's been in place, and we watched these cities, and then we talked to them, and they found it to be satisfactory or better. Some of them seem quite enthused about it. In DOER is issuing a report on the impact of this statewide statistically. And some of the data that I was referring to is their data that they're going to report in a publication that's coming out. So the electrification and passive house adoption is growing fast, and it's growing in non-specialized code communities. So I would say that's pretty indicative that the costs are not inhibited.
And how do we know the grid can support this?
Well, these buildings are more efficient, so they use less electricity than the air conditioning. And all of our buildings are summer peaking now, because if you use gas in the winter and electricity in the summer, and the heat pumps use less electricity in the winter than the summer peak of air conditioning. So the restriction on the grid is a summer peaking problem.
Okay.
I know you've talked about why it's important that we pass this sooner than later. I don't know if you want to speak to that more with the grant money that could help us.
Yeah, in the Green Community case, we were kind of late to the party. In fact, Hopkinton went about 6 years before us and got $800,000 before we even got started in the process. And this program is relatively new. It's only been out with the new specialized code. There is up to $1 million per community available right now. We expect the funds to continue to get renewed, but you never know what's coming in the future. Right now, we're competing with a smaller pool of communities, about 28, 30. We're in green communities. It's 300 communities that are competing for the funds. So the earlier you get in, you can get easier access to funds. You also get, and I don't want this to sound wrong, but you stop building bad buildings. If you know how to build better buildings, why not build them better now? Because they're really hard to fix once you build them. I mean, I've tried to do more insulation in my house and stuff, and fixing a building after it's built is tough. You're better off spending the time and money to fix it when it's getting built. Just kind of attitude-wise, certainly the way I'd approach my own investments.
Jenny, Christine, I'm not passing over you, but Jenny, EDC voted on this morning. They not?
Yes, they voted to not support it, but I don't remember what the vote was.
It was like 1-6-3.
Yeah, 3 abstained, 1 in support, and what is
5 or 6, I
5?
don't know what
Yeah,
the number
5.
of votes were. But
5 not in favor.
and it was general, no,
Can you speak into the microphone?
yeah, sorry. There was a general sense that all regulations are bad. This is a new regulation. I don't want to, new regulations on business. I'm not sure they understood the cost and the trade-offs and stuff, but it was like, we have enough regulations, let's stop. It was kind of the spirit of what I heard. Is that fair, Jenny?
I think so. I think just the concern for the cost of new businesses and the effect on it could have on economic development was really the concern.
Which doesn't quite fit because it doesn't affect alterations, additions, and renovations. And most of we have a lot of empty office space and empty building, retail space and stuff, and all of that could be implemented, and this would have no effect on it. So there's a lot of economic development that would have no impact. But
Christina, I didn't mean to jump over you.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, I'm in support of this. I think while right now we have multiple tiers, we're going to start doing away, right? There's already things that when you update your house, you have to change out old wiring, pipes, et cetera. I think it's just going to continue to kind of go that way. And if you're talking about a 1 to 2% increase in spend, that definitely seems worth it, especially if it's for your own home and you're thinking about like heating and cooling costs and energy efficiency. Yeah.
Open to the public?
No. Carrie. I mean, my general feeling, quite frankly, is that it's another layer of regulation, and I just cannot support that myself at the moment. I just think it's going to discourage developers coming into this community, and we have enough trouble as it is at the moment trying to increase our business base, which is what we need to do, and any other layer of regulation on buildings in this town, I think are a problem at the moment. And I just am not prepared to myself to see from a planning viewpoint adding any more regulation.
I agree with you, Hazel. And I would say if there's any case studies that show actual savings and whatnot, but it's all theory.
no, there are case studies. I didn't present them. They're in the DOER website, single-family homes, and Consigli Construction did an analysis. But I don't have it prepared in slides for you right now.
That's okay. John, do you have any comments?
No, I mean, I don't have anything substantive. I wrestle with this because it's even just talking with people generally, you say, well, Massachusetts is going above and beyond. Some other states are going the other way. And so then what are we doing? But then it's like, then it's just a race to the bottom. And I don't want that. That's even worse, right? Because then you're just going to have other states that continue going backwards, and then we really need to take care of Massachusetts, New England, and our area over here. So, you know, I'm generally in support of it. I hear your concerns with the additional regulations. I haven't seen anything significant in terms of, you know, a drop in development or increase in development costs because of this. I mean, everything is expensive anyway. I think it's really hard to parse out those numbers right now, just because there's so many different things. You know, the concern about the grid, something I have as well. But again, that's a multivariable. There's other things using the grid. You hear about these data centers chewing through electricity, and is that the issue, or is the specialized codes are the issue? Does the grid need to be upgraded? What, chicken and egg, right? What comes first? Should the grid be updated, or should we pass these regulations? So, you know, you can look at it either way, and I'm looking at it as this is a benefit to our environment, to our community, and why not?
Yeah, can I just say one other thing, Hazel? Yeah, I agree, and if this is more energy efficient, it's less stress on the grid, and then with rising energy costs, 1 to 2% in the building of the function of the building is probably preferred to like continual increase in costs over time. And then yes, this is our town and community, and I think being sustainable and energy efficient just benefits us as individuals and as a town.
Yeah, I agree with John and Chris as well. I mean, supporting long-term reductions in energy use in Westborough, I think is important, as well as, you know, the grant funding that it can get us to help with other projects that I know that everyone will never likes to vote on when it comes time to pay for them. So it could help a lot.
Would someone like to put a motion on the floor?
I move the planning board. How do we want to do this? What is it, a letter of support, or are we recommending the article?
I would say you recommend passage, because you're making the recommendation to town meeting.
I move the planning board recommend approval of Article 30 at town meeting.
Second.
Are we ready to vote?
Is there going to be in the letter recommendation, or?
It will just reference that the planning board voted and what the vote was, and who voted yes, who voted no.
Okay, yeah, that's all I asked, yeah.
All in favor? Opposed? 3 to 2 vote.
Thank you for your
Thank you for
time.
your presentation.
Thank you for your
David.
time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So we will report out at town meeting on the letter of support and the vote thereon. All right. Kristen. The request for a letter for support for the regional walk audit training for the AARP grant.
Hello, my name's Kristen Belanger. I'm the Assistant Town Planner. I am here tonight. As you're aware, I've been working with CMRPC and walkmass.org to organize and facilitate a regional walk audit training, train the trainer type event. We are partnering with Shrewsbury, Northborough, Grafton, and Hopkinton. You know, walk audits are really important tools that give us a little bit of context that strengthen potential grant applications that we go for infrastructure improvements, and it makes sure that we reflect the community needs and priorities. So I am here tonight to ask for the planning board's letter of support so that I can apply for the AARP Community Challenge Grant that will fund the expenses of the event.
I thought it was a great letter. I think we all saw it, and it obviously is a super project and something to be involved in. And the fact that we're going to be one of the leaders in it, I think, is a real testament to the work that Kristen has done to get us involved.
And I do think too, like just to think about capacity of staff, by inviting different boards and committees in town, like the Active Transportation Committee or the Friends of Bewalt or whoever, to come and get trained, they can then go out into the community and train other groups, and builds our capacity for that, so.
Any comments from the board members on this? If not, could
Yeah,
I have a
just-
motion
sorry,
to
Hazel.
support? I'm sorry.
You didn't look at me.
I'm sorry.
I just want to say, Kristen, you went to one of these trainings, right, and decided to bring it to Westborough, so I applaud you. This is a great thing. You know, Hopkinton has submitted their letter of support. I think it's a great opportunity, and I really thank you for leading the charge on this and bringing it to Westborough.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, John. Could I have a motion?
I move the planning board, what is it, authorize Hazel or sign? Do we want to sign?
I think just,
You can authorize her to sign the letter of support.
I move the planning board authorize the chair to sign this letter of support for regional walk audit training for the AARP grant on behalf of the planning board.
Second.
okay, any comments? We ready to vote? Ready, all in favor? Thank you, 5-1. Thank you, Kristen, for all
5-0.
your work on this. What?
5-0. I don't know who this imaginary person is.
Hazel just wants to make sure that someone's voting against something. We're not just always
Rubber
approving
stamping.
everything unanimously.
We're not rubber stamping.
Yeah.
All right, planning department, do you have any updates, Jenny?
Yes, just a brief update. So we did receive confirmation that we received earmark funding from the last round, not this current round, for $35,000 to do a traffic study and concept plan to look at the Milk Street, Fisher Street, Church Street intersection. I don't know what you want to call that
A mess,
funky intersection. So that's been on the list of projects for a long time. It was submitted at the time by our DPW director, but with the current agreement that the planning board and select board had talked about with projects, this is something that will start with the planning department in working through the concept with the engineer firm that we're going to be using. Looking at that intersection with the traffic study, and then getting public input, all of that. The reason that the project was brought up is because we have a Safe Routes to School project that MassDOT is running. It's not really a town project, although we're involved on Fisher Street. And so this would link right to that intersection. We previously were unable to continue the Safe Routes to School project to that intersection because of funding. But now at least we can include a study of that. So that'll be a nice connection there.
Well, the interesting thing is also that the letter that came from the engineering department mentioned that intersection.
Yes.
And we now have a grant, so that actually it did not need to be included in the post.
Yes. Yeah, so that was another one of the
project,
reasons
which was the
behind
reason,
that.
there was
yeah.
no reason to include that in our findings or in our decision on that particular project.
Right. And, we're constantly looking for ways and funding that we can look at the different areas and make those connections to other projects. So more to come on that once we are able to hire an engineer and really define the scope. We'll bring it to the board to initiate that project.
That's for the Milk Street.
Milk
Fisher.
Church Fisher.
Would I have to recuse myself for that?
Yes, no, I'm just kidding.
Only if you have a financial interest. But it's just a study at this point. It's a traffic study. There's no vote.
We can talk
on-
about that later.
I
I'm
think
just
it's
curious.
safe at the moment. All right.
The Otis Street Corridor project, that's definitely coming along. We will hopefully be able to get some easements to the select board at their next meeting, if not the one after. So we'll hopefully be able to get our permit through MassDOT, which we need the easements to get that final permit, and then hire the contractor and begin the project. But we're still on schedule.
How many bids have we gotten so far?
I don't recall the exact number, but I know there were quite a few, maybe 6.
Oh, great.
Yeah, yeah, but they did, I don't know that they've awarded it yet. They were still going through the, making sure they meet all the qualifications, but we should be within budget, which is something we were happy to hear. And then just the active transportation plan, that's still out to bid, and I believe it's due this week for the final bids. We had quite a few questions on the RFP, so we were happy to see that. There's a lot of interest, so once we get those bids, we'll set up a meeting to open them and decide who will be awarded that project. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any meetings of town committees? Their last meeting or CMRPC?
I have a CMRPC meeting next week. I haven't had a Sustainable Westborough meeting since our last meeting, but just wanted to call out that the Environmental Action Fair is next Saturday, the 14th, 1 to 4. So check it out. There's going to be like a clothing swap and a book swap as well, so you can bring those items in exchange for new. So that's new this year for.
And that's something I forgot to mention, that we will have a table for planning. We will be gathering input to help guide the active transportation plan, understanding where people are commonly going in town and walking, biking, things like that, and then areas where they see issues. Kristen will be there, but I wanted to ask if anybody from the board.
I volunteered to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Okay. All right. Minutes.
We have minutes from February 17th meeting. Did everyone get a chance to look at them?
Yep.
Any comments or edits? Can I have a motion to accept the minutes as written?
So moved.
Second?
I don't think I can vote on this, right?
Yes, you can.
Vote, even if
Right.
you haven't volunteered, yeah.
Second?
All right, all in favor? 5-1.
All right. 5-1.
5-0.
I got it.
It's going to be very confusing when we read these.
Our second April meeting is during April vacation. Do we want to try to change that meeting? We have one on the 7th. Is the vacation, must be the 21st.
Actually, isn't that Patriots Day?
No, Patriots Day is Monday.
Oh, we have meetings on Tuesday, not Monday.
That's correct.
Yes.
I will not be here
I will.
for a Tuesday meeting.
I will not be here either.
That makes 3 of us.
Okay, so we're talking on which date?
The 21st.
April 21st.
21st, okay. So we have a choice of either meeting on the 14th or the 28th.
Do the 14th.
Fine with me.
14th is fine. Does everybody want to do the 14th?
That should be fine.
Hold on, let me check. It'll work for me. 28th also works.
Yeah, the 28th, either one is going to be close to the next meeting, because if it's the 28th, our meeting would be on like the 5th of May or something. So the 14th is fine. I don't see any problem with, everyone okay with the 14th?
It's fine with me.
I believe so.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll move the one on the 21st to the 14th. And then we'll meet on the 28th. that right?
No,
No, the 5th.
Yeah, the
we
5th.
would do this, the 7th,
The 7th of May
no, the 7th of April, then the 14th,
and the 14th,
And then May 5th.
and then May
5th.
5th, okay. All right. That's fine. Okay, is there anything else anyone would like to bring before the board this evening? If not, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? 5-0.
There you go.
Thank you very much, everyone.